I think we can all agree that there are way too many altcoin projects out there. There are at least 25,000 cryptocurrencies in circulation, and that's not really even considering all the meme coins, because if you get into all of those, we're really talking about millions upon millions. But roughly, let's say 25,000. And among those, really, we only have 8 that are airtight in terms of being future-proof, because there are 8 in particular that are ISO 222 compliant. ISO 222 is not optional. It's becoming the new global payment standard being rolled out right now as we speak. So this is much more than just a blockchain buzzword. It's not about marketing. It's about standardization. You could think of it as the universal language that banks and governments are switching to. With ISO 222, for example, they can process trillions of dollars every single day. And this is going to be the first of 2 videos. This is going to be part 1, in which I talk about 4 of those 8 ISO 202 compliant projects. 4 altcoins that are future-proofing themselves in a very significant way that really ought to be on your radar if they're not already. So let's kick off here at number 1 with a familiar favorite in the form of Cardano. ADA is, of course, the ticker. This is a very large and established project in terms of this list of ISO 222 compliant altcoins. This is pretty much always within or close to the top 10 crypto projects in terms of rank as measured by crypto market cap. Cardano was recently in the spotlight, of course, with its midnight, or what's more colloquially known, I suppose, as the Glacier airdrop. Check out this video, by the way, if you haven't gotten information on that, because ADA holders, and by the way, holders of 7 other altcoins qualified for this airdrop. It amounts to 37 million wallets in total. So it's a major, really unprecedented airdrop. Again, check out this video for a breakdown of the technicals, and you can learn about eligibility requirements, whether or not you qualify. However, we are looking here at the advantages that Cardano will have from being ISO 222 compliant. So getting further into that, it begins with seamless integration as far as traditional finance or TradFi goes, because in a big way, ISO 222 is a global financial messaging standard. Banks, as well as financial institutions worldwide, use it. So we know already that Cardano is compliant, which is good. This effectively bridges the gap between those legacy financial systems and newer blockchain technology. But then another big factor is going to be enhanced interoperability. Cardano can now communicate efficiently with existing payment networks and other financial infrastructures, which makes onboarding of banks easier at the end of the day. Thus, Cardano can integrate into a unified global financial ecosystem with a lot more ease than the vast majority of other projects out there. And besides just supporting transactions, Cardano also supports smart contracts and dApps, which of course puts Cardano pretty much in the driver's seat for future financial innovations. The ISO 222 standard includes KYC, that's Know Your Customer, and AML, anti-money laundering regulations. Supporting this gives Cardano greater trust and credibility. Institutional investors, of course, are going to like this, which in turn is going to increase Cardano's adoption among them. ISO 222 also helps speed up transaction processing and greatly reduces errors and risks of fraud because it uses standardized message formats. Cardano already offers fast and low-cost transactions, and so kind of culturally, as far as the tech goes, it fits right in. But really one of the most important things that Cardano has that even these other 7 ISO compliant projects don't is UTXOs. UTXO stands for Unspent Transaction Output. And these are the same way of accounting for tokens and managing transactions that Bitcoin uses. Ethereum and all other use the account balance model, whereas UTXO chains like Cardano, also Bitcoin, also Litecoin, by the way, they can integrate easily with each other and have actually more of a tough time integrating with account model chains like ETH. So at the end of the day, if a bank, for example, wants a compliant chain, they can integrate with Bitcoin and then later easily do so with Cardano as well. As you have seen these last few days and these last few weeks, we've been talking about slowly unveiling a new project that we're very proud of here at Altcoin Buzz. Check out the link in the description below. We're inviting all of our viewers to try it, to check it out. Once again, you can find the link and participate in the description below. Next up here, and at number 2 on the list, is Stellar, ticker XLM. This is another ISO 222 compliant crypto project. It's made with allowing transactions between any pair of currencies in the back of its mind, really. And so all the reasons I mentioned for Cardano also apply to other projects here, except for the UTXO part. That's why I'm going to look at other angles for the other three projects. We'll begin with Stellar in terms of how it stands out. What's unique to Stellar is that it has its Stellar Ecosystem Proposals, SEPs. These are documents that outline how different entities on the Stellar network should interact and operate. So, for example, asset issuers, anchors, or wallets. Two of these SEPs, specifically number 9 and number 31, align transaction data elements precisely with ISO 20022. This is big because it enables regulated KYC and cross-border payment data to live on-chain, which shows that it's not only payment processing that Stellar does, it's also building trust in a pretty compelling way. Another big one for Stellar here is its native support for stablecoins. The Stellar ecosystem, as you may know, already supports regulated stablecoins, so USDC, for example, and EURC. With EURC, Stellar also covers a pretty big chunk of the European market. And then in addition to stablecoins as a project, Stellar is also very positioning itself for CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. I must have said it a million times, I'm not a fan of CBDCs, but I also realize that somebody, somewhere, some nation, some entity is going to roll them out at some point. And they're probably unavoidable, whether you like them or not. Not every government is so anti-CBDC as the current U.S. government under Trump. So that's, kind of the context. That's what I try to keep in mind. Plenty of European governments, for example, are very pro-CBDC. So being ISO 20022 compliant makes for smooth sailing in that particular field for Stellar, as controversial as it may be. With Stellar, we also see a proven track record in terms of real-world use cases. So some projects in Stellar's ecosystem have already made use of Stellar's ISO 20022 compliance. In Africa, for example, that is Yellow Card. ARF is another project that uses this Stellar feature, and both of these examples make daily money transfers, demonstrating practical and pragmatic real-world adoption. Next up, and at number 3 on my list of ISO 222 compliant altcoins, is Quant, ticker QNT. Quant offers smooth communication between different blockchains. Its main feature, of course, is the Overledger, which supports multi-chain applications, or maps. This facilitates smart contract transactions between different blockchains. It even calls itself the infrastructure of money. And so being ISO 222 compliant makes sense given its particular setup. Let's talk for a moment about the multi-network interoperability that is made possible via Overledger. I mentioned this already. It is a big deal. This is Quant's main feature. I don't think they would argue otherwise. The Overledger protocol allows for secure, scalable interoperability between blockchains and also legacy systems, even, by the way, if they were incompatible. And so aligning with ISO 222 puts Quant in a really strong position. It can help token transfers across various platforms in real time. Just think of banks, for example, blockchains, and other enterprise platforms. And then you can also add to this unified financial messaging, meaning that Quant can bring messages from all kinds of different channels together on a single unified platform. As of right now, only Quant really can offer these things. And then there's also the enablement of so-called tokenized everything ecosystems, because Quant can bring tokenized stocks, bonds, fiat currencies, gold, other commodities, and other assets to traditional banking rails. It has everything already in place to accommodate this specifically. So, for example, asset digitization, seamless on and off-chain transfers, and bridging DeFi. With Quant also, we do have to go back again to the subject of CBDCs. Unfortunately, there will be plenty of them around in the future. So, look, it's no surprise that many blockchains are aiming to accommodate CBDCs. Quant is one such blockchain. It has positioned itself as a universal connector for next-gen banking, which includes, among other things, central bank digital currencies. So I would say right now, Quant is probably flying under most people's radars, but it is set to make really the most out of this compliance and standardization when it comes to ISO 222. Last but not least here, and honestly, I can't even remember the last time we talked about this project, but it's back in a big way, given its ISO 222 compliance. IOTA, IOTA, A. As the name already suggests, IOTA is designed for the Internet of Things, or IoT. And the IoT, of course, is a vast network of physical objects or things. You can find them in sensors or software, and all of these connect and exchange data with other devices and other systems over the internet. But here's why IOTA stands to benefit greatly from being ISO 20022 compliant. First of all, the standardization means optimization for Internet of Things communication. IOTA has a DAG, or Directed Acyclic Graph Distribution Ledger. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's actually different from a traditional blockchain. IOTA's DAG architecture goes by the name of Tangle, and it's purpose-built for IoT. Now, being ISO 20022 compliant has its advantages for IOTA because it enables secure and standardized data and payment messaging directly between devices. This is hugely important for automated microtransactions and exchanges of data. So for example, in smart cities or things like supply chains, the other projects that I mentioned, as far as this list goes, do not offer this natively. And then IOTA can also boast quantum-resistant security for the IoT era. There are probably, as you know, many predictions out there that quantum computers are going to crack crypto wallets in due time. I take that with a grain of salt because if they crack the cryptography, they're also cracking all the banking codes, all the nuclear codes. Anyways, just my point of view there for a moment. But getting back to IOTA, they integrate quantum-resistant cryptography with ISO 20022 messaging, meaning messaging and transactions on IOTA are future-proof. So here we have another example where once more IOTA is one of the very few ISO 20022 projects that are prioritizing this. But IOTA isn't just leaving things behind in the past, they are also providing seamless integration with TradFi for IoT payments. IOTA can bridge digital payments from physical devices straight into TradFi systems. It supports real-time settlement and compliance, which also includes reporting for banks, enterprises, and regulators. And for mainstream adoption of decentralized IoT payments, this is absolutely essential. So there you have it. Those are 4 of the 8 altcoins that are going to be ISO 20022 compliant, which really is a very big deal. That is part 1 of this series of videos. Stay tuned for part 2. It's coming out in the near future. And listen, let me know in the comments below if this is at all something you knew about ISO 20022. Do you feel like these projects are going to have an edge? Do you feel like there are others that would stand to benefit from the standardization as well? Let me know. Also, be sure to join our discussions on social media, X, Discord. Those links are in the description.